Mom and Dad stopped fighting, but who got the house in the divorce? Let's talk about this week in theater. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Theater, the show where we break down exactly what went down in theater this week. I hope everyone had a fantastically safe and socially distanced Thanksgiving. This week we'll be playing a bit of catch-up, so it'll actually be this week and last week in theater, so let's dive right in. This week in theater, on Wednesday, the Australian production of Pippin opened at the Sydney Lyric Theatre. For context, Australia is about the same size as Texas, and on Wednesday, Australia had less than 20 new COVID cases, and on Wednesday, Texas had more than 20,000. So whether you view this as a glimmer of hope or a ember in the ashes of the entertainment industry, or as yet another feather in the cap of our country's abysmal response to this pandemic, either way, it's cool to know that theater is happening somewhere. Also, fun fact, the Australian production of Pippin is extra special because the gymnasts spin in the opposite direction. That's a toilet joke. Last week in theater, Actors Equity Association published its much-anticipated diversity and inclusion study for the years 2016 through 2019. The study breaks down contract distribution and average salary by race, gender, age, and ability for different sectors in our industry. Unsurprisingly, pretty much across the board, white actors and stage managers were overrepresented when compared to their portion of the population, according to the 2010 census, and stage managers and actors who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color were underrepresented. While there was some improvement from the previous study, it's important to note that a lot of the statistical change can actually be traced back to various productions of Hamilton alone. Interestingly, women out-earn men as actors in musicals, but men out-earn women as actors in plays and as stage managers. Speaking of stage managers, we are the most homogenous, with about 75% of stage management contracts going to white stage managers. Stage managers and assistant stage managers were the only two types of contracts where nationally more women were hired than men, significantly more women, until you get to the Broadway production stage manager contract, which is, of course, the highest paying contract. Speaking of the production contract, if you want proof that Hamilton is skewing these numbers, production contracts for actors are more equitably distributed for musicals than the national numbers, with production chorus contracts almost hitting that 50% BIPOC threshold that was set by the We See You White American Theater demands. But the distribution of production contracts for plays and stage managers are significantly less equitably distributed than the national numbers. We know we have a lot of work to do as an industry. There's a link in the description below to the full report, and whether you're an equity member or not, I highly recommend you take a look at it and really parse through the results. And the longer you look at it, the more interesting things will jump out at you. For example, who in their right mind are hiring these equity stage managers and assistant stage managers that are 0 to 17 years old? In other equity news, last week in theater, a new harassment hotline app was released that will allow you to not only report new harassment issues, but also track your reports as they move through the reporting process. This is a great first step in increasing communication surrounding the reporting of harassment issues, and hopefully will increase communication, resolution, and even the prevention of harassment in the workplace. Personally, I think we should just go all in on this app idea and allow everyone to rate their employers and coworkers on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, like an Uber driver. Stage managers often let people borrow their phone chargers anyway, so we're well on our way to being a 5-star Uber driver. Speaking of rating things, if you'd give this video 5 stars, instead give me a blue thumbs up by hitting the like button for the YouTube algorithm. This week in theater, the 2020 socially distanced version of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was very well received, and the Broadway performances breathed some new life into the theater community. There are performances from shows like Ain't Too Proud, Jagged Little Pill, Hamilton, and Mean Girls. What's more, some of the shows chose numbers that are particularly appropriate for 2020. For example, Hamilton's choice to perform the Schuyler Sisters number is like a celebration of New York at a time where the world could really use a reminder of its greatness and spirit. And Mean Girls did a number called Someone Gets Hurt, which is about the dangers of gathering in large groups. Here you can see Renee Rapp playing the coronavirus and infecting all of the other partygoers. That is what it's about, right? Regina George is a metaphor for the coronavirus? And of course, this week in theater, today actually, the winners of the Turkey Day Duck giveaway from Half Hour Call were announced, and the winners are on your screen now. Congratulations to the winners. I don't know who you are because I'm recording this in advance, but congratulations. For everyone else, we have a special going on at the Half Hour Call store, where you can get the Stage Manager Ducks for 30% off today only using the code Black Friday 2020. But still, the biggest news in the arts union world is from last week in theater, when Actors Equity Association and SAG-AFTRA reached a new agreement on the future of virtual theater opportunities. After months of private and public dispute between the sister unions that often looked catty enough to be between actual sisters, Equity and SAG-AFTRA have reached an agreement that virtual theater will be under Equity's jurisdiction until the end of December of 2021. The agreement also sets precedent by codifying the relationship between the sister unions, clarifying what jurisdictional lines exist between them, and setting into stone in black and white the process that was previously a courtesy of referring work in the appropriate medium to the other union. Personally, I have mixed feelings about the outcome of this mediation, because I feel like both unions failed in a very key area, which is that both unions assumed that the theater and film industries are going to go right back to normal once we're no longer in a pandemic. I think there's a real possibility that even as we move out of a pandemic, theater producers are going to look at things like their new play festival, for example, and say,
if I produce these readings virtually, I don't have to fly actors out, I don't have to house the actors, and I don't have to take up a venue that could otherwise be housing main stage shows. All while not really affecting the quality of the product, because it's still essentially just a reading.
Based on the current agreement, if that hypothetical production is happening in 2022 or later, it would fall under SAG-AFTRA's jurisdiction, and therefore stage managers would be exactly where we were back at the beginning of all of this with virtual theater, which is left out without a contract. But the one thing I like to remember throughout all of this is that theater is the one institution that has been dying for thousands of years and still hasn't succumbed. It's survived past pandemics, plagues, persecution, and it's still here, and it's still adapting, and it's still changing, and it will find a way to continue. And when it does, hopefully we'll all be right there, ready to tread the boards or tell other people how to tread the boards once more. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. Down in the comments below, let me know if you ended up stage managing your virtual Thanksgivings and how that went and what you did instead of gathering in large groups. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. My name is Kent, and that was This Week in Theater. This snazzy feathered production assistant, as well as other cool stage management merchandise, is now available at kentjamescollins.com/store. Link in the description below.